Hello and welcome to Disc Review, the podcast that goes track by track through a different album each week.
And we're your hosts, Max and Matt. Join us as we explore some of our favorite records.
No, I'm a fan, I swear.
I feel like I've become a music normie.
I'm tired of being Mr. Positive guy.
Dude, that's not humor.
This is certifiably the most boring album I've ever heard.
And there's a reason they don't do it, because it's terrible.
We hope you enjoy the show. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to Disc Review. This is our first episode back from the new year. So happy new year, everybody. We are very excited to start the new year off right with this album, 1,000 Suns by Linkin Park. We haven't talked about Linkin Park yet, which is surprising because they were my favorite band for like a large portion of my life. I listen to them every day. I've listened to all these songs thousands of times. But I kind of took a break from them, like 2 or 3 years. I didn't really listen to any Linkin Park, and now I've just barely started getting back into them. So that's why we're reviewing 1,000 Suns. Matt, what do you think about this album?
Well, basically everything I know about Linkin Park does come from you, so I definitely remember that era of finding, good Linkin Park songs through you, but I never really got into them on my own. And going into this, I didn't know a lot of the deep cuts, so it was definitely an interesting experience. I think that it's got some really high highs, and it's definitely got a strong concept, I guess. It's definitely themed. I think a lot of Linkin Park albums kind of go the same route, but what do you think about that theme that's kind of running through with the instrumentals that have a lot of like historical voiceovers and stuff? What do you think of that?
I mean, that's the reason I like this album so much, is because it's a concept record. It talks about kind of like nuclear warfare and kind of the devastation that brings not only to the people that are actually affected by atomic bombs, but like just the average person, like the weight that everyone on the planet has to carry, knowing that, it could all just be over because we've developed weapons that are so powerful that it could literally end everything. And that's kind of what this album is about. And like you said, yeah, there's lots of like quotes and like samples and stuff used in this to kind of deliver that message. And we'll talk more about that as we go track by track. But I think it's a pretty powerful record. But why don't we start by talking about this album art? What did you think about that?
I've always really liked it. It's minimalist, just, this white and black. I mean, I'm assuming it's supposed to be kind of like I said, like a sun, which is the black part, and then it's got these rays coming off of it that kind of distorts it. I don't know, something to do with, like you said, the themes of explosion kind of vibes. But the more I look at it, sometimes it looks like on the bottom left, like Pac-Man with his mouth opening kind of wide.
Yeah, I've never seen it like that. I've always, before I really like looked at it and figured out what it was, it always kind of looks like a bird silhouette to me. I don't know if you see that.
I see that as well.
But yeah, it's like an inverted image. So the light is actually black and the dark part is white. So yeah, it's not my favorite. I think it's a little too minimalistic and abstract for me. But I think that it does fit the theme, and that's kind of what this whole record is about. It's like, man, did I like that song? I mean, it's not really fun, but it made me think, Yeah. So that's kind of, I think, what the album art is there to do as well. But let's jump into it.
Jumping into the track by track.
The first track is The Requiem. This is the opener track of the album. The first minute is pretty minimal with just a few ambient sounds, but eventually a voice comes in and starts singing some lines from a song that we'll talk about later called The Catalyst, which is something that I actually think is really cool. I think that more people should do that. It makes the album feel more like one body of work rather than just a random set of songs. The songs feel very connected here.
Yeah, I mean, I only listened to this album once. I didn't realize, make that connection that it's a section of another song, because that song is at the end of the record. So that's really cool. I did not know that. I think that this track is pretty cool opener intro thing. I'm on board for that kind of, opening to an album.
Then we have The Radiance. This is a short intro track, which is based on a famous portion of a speech given by Robert Oppenheimer, who helped create the atomic bomb. So, I mean, it's they're holding your hand here, kind of with the message.
It's on the
I
nose,
think.
yeah.
Yeah. But I like it. I mean, it's creepy for sure. It's a very ominous track here, and I think it just brings me back to the title of this album, "A Thousand Suns." I think that's supposed to be symbolism for what a bomb looks like, that big. It looks like literally 1,000 suns exploding. So yeah, I think this one's cool. I kind of usually skip a few of these openers just because, I don't want to listen to them every time. But when you do listen to it all the way through, there's a good experience there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely fine with the concept, album style, and I think this works. I think it's weird that they had to split this in two, especially since it is the same track. It leads straight into it. I think that you probably could have just kept these as the same track.
Yeah.
But one thing I'm kind of interested by is the streams on those two intro tracks are pretty high, especially compared to another intro track coming later, down at 5,000, compared to this 10 million. Are these instrumentals, that good?
I think that they're, as far as like intro tracks and instrumentals go, I think they're pretty interesting. But like I said before, I don't listen to them every time, so I don't know. The one you're talking about, I think, is really bad. That's why.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about that.
But then we have "Burning in the Skies." This is the first actual song we get on the record, and to be honest, it is a contender for one of my favorites on the record. But I think that a couple songs beat it out just by a little bit. This song isn't flashy or as big and dramatic as some of the other songs on the album, but I just like the lyrics and the simple piano. The chorus is especially good to me, where they say, "I'm swimming in the smoke of bridges I've burned, so don't apologize. I'm losing what I don't deserve." There's another great line in the second verse where he says, "In the end, we were made to be apart, like separate chambers of the human heart." So I don't know, like those, I think the lines are just good. I think they've got some great lyricism here.
Yeah, I think this is pretty classic Linkin Park sound. I feel like I've heard a lot of songs that sound just like this on some other albums. I think that they've done it, better on other records. It's like a little generic for them. But I liked the guitar solo section a lot. That was the part that I think elevated it for me.
Then we have "Empty Spaces." This is the one we were talking about before. This is another short interlude.
18 seconds long.
Yeah, it's
of just crickets
short.
chirping.
It's crickets, and like I think it's like war sounds in the background.
A little
I'm
bit
assuming that's
at
what
the
it is.
very end, yeah.
Yeah,
Something
you can
like
hear like
that. I don't
some
know.
people yelling and like some explosions, but it's a skip for me every time. I think it's a really boring track.
And to put another like interlude track after we just got two intro tracks. We've only had one song in the first four tracks here.
I know.
I think it either didn't need to be here or didn't need to be anywhere on the album. It just doesn't, it's not worth it.
Yeah, I would have cut it for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary at all. Especially because like if you're going to put this many intro tracks and interludes, and a lot of them are really good, I don't think there was need for it. Well, then we have "When They Come For Me." Even though this isn't really my favorite, it's definitely one of the most like interesting sounding songs on the record. Not to say that I think that it's good. I don't really think it's that good. It's very different from the rest of the album, and it kind of seems more of like a pet project of Mike Shinoda, the rapper in the band. It has some like tribal sounding drums, and then there's like some Middle Eastern singing in the chorus and bridge.
Yeah.
I don't know much about that style, but that's kind of the vibe I got. But yeah,
Probably the strangest track, I'd say, on the
yeah,
record.
very strange. And I'll point out something even funnier about this track is, I know you know this, but maybe some of our audience doesn't. But back in the day, I don't know if they still do this, but when you'd buy a record from like Walmart or Target, it would be like censored a lot of the times.
Yeah.
I don't know why they would do that. I guess those are like family friendly stores, but they sell other things that aren't family friendly. So I don't know why they had to do that. But The edits for this song in particular are so funny that like you can't even listen to the song
Do you
because
remember them?
yes. So, like, there's lots of good ways to edit songs if you want to make them clean. If you want to take out the certain words, I think the best way is just to skip over them. Don't even just have nothing there. I think that's honestly the best way. Or you could do like a record scratch. It's kind of corny, but a lot of bands do that. This, they chose to put an echo on the word before the swear word, and so like where the word was, there's like echoing of the word before. And this word or this song says the word mf'er a lot, right?
So they're
Um,
doing that to the word mother?
mother. So you'd be like, he's like going hard in this rap, and then all of a sudden it'd be like mother, 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 mother. It's very bizarre. It's so weird.
That's funny. Oh, I love when they mess up the clean edit. I think it's very funny. But my thoughts on this track, I think that I'm all for like trying something new. This is totally different from a lot of stuff Linkin Park has done. I don't think they've done anything like it. I think I'm not a fan of it either, but my biggest problem with it is that it's way too long. It has like an extended intro. It takes like a full minute before there's any lyrics at all. And that's pretty repetitive. And then it like almost ends like 3 times. I kept being like, oh, the song's over. And it just came back. Do you notice
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, it does do that. All right, now we have Robot Boy. Robot Boy is more piano driven, and it has themes of like optimism and optimism and pessimism. A lot of the verse is talking to a person who seems kind of downtrodden and who's kind of given up on the world. But the message of the song is that there's a light at the end of the tunnel and that there's still good worth fighting for. It's again, not really my favorite on the record. I think it's a little boring, but I do really like the end where it builds up to a nice crescendo. There's some intensity to the ending that I think is a lot of fun, but it takes a little bit to get there.
I've always found it funny that Linkin Park is usually considered to be, an edgy, serious band. And just sometimes their lines are so corny and cheesy. A lot on this record, too. It's like a very much like the literal version of it. Like, feel the weight of the world and stuff, and it'll give you strength and all that. Yeah, I just think it's funny how they can balance that, and like yet no one's ever calling them, corny or cheesy. I haven't really heard that. I just always thought that's funny.
I think that there is definitely some room to call them corny and cheesy. I mean, they're a mainstream rock band, right? So when you get that popular, you can kind of be edgy to an extent, and then you kind of just have to be what everyone wants you to be, I guess. At this point in their career, they have to be making those big, positive, poppy songs. They have to, or, the record won't sell.
Yeah, I get that. I think that the song is pretty middle of the road for this album for me.
So now we have Jornada del Muerto. This song is an intro song as well to Waiting for the End. The name, I believe, is a reference to the desert of the same name where the first nuclear bomb was set off. It's an eerie track, and the lyrics are in another language, but I don't really know what language it is, and I don't know what the words mean.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but I think this is my favorite instrumental track. If I had to pick one, I just think it's the most interesting sounding and got some cool synths going on. That's really all I noticed.
Then we have Waiting for the End. This is my pick for the best song in the album. I would say it's a perfect song. It's got a sort of Islander influence with the drums and the melody that makes it feel, to me, like I'm on a beach almost. The lyrics are powerful, especially the line, "All I want to do is trade this life for something new." I remember there was a time in my life a few years ago where I was going through a pretty big depressive episode, and I had just gone through a breakup that was particularly hard on me. And I remember listening to this song and feeling like that line in particular was very true to me. I felt like, I wanted everything about my life to change, and I didn't really know if I would ever feel as good as I had felt before. But I'm here to say that it definitely gets better. I mean, just 3 years later, I can say that my life is amazing. I love my life, and I feel so on track with my goals, and I know myself better as a person. So this song has always had a special place in my heart as one that's very true to my life. And looking back, I can now, view that part of my life with gratitude, knowing that every step of the journey is important and things always get better.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think that this is the best song, and I think that the energy and the emotion are all spot on, and you can really connect with it. And I think that that's probably where what I'm talking about. Like they have those corny lines sometimes that are kind of heavy-handed, but it just works here. And I think when they pull it off, it works really well and allows a lot of people to connect and just bring their own experience into it. And I think that that's when Linkin Park is honestly at their best for me.
Now we have Blackout. This is one of the more bizarre songs on the album. It's very aggressive and very angry with a lot of screaming, but there's like no guitar. It's almost all piano and synth up until the bridge where some guitar comes in. And I don't think there's anything wrong with trying something different or non-traditional, but I don't know. This one just didn't land very well for me.
I actually liked this one. It definitely is different, and like you said, it's pretty edgy, but I think that it's got some interesting things that they tried. It's got this, kind of cool like vocal breakdown from Chester that I think was really cool. And then it comes back in with like this really sincere part. I think it just changes tones in a way that actually worked for me. Usually I don't like that, but I thought it was cool in this one.
The next song is Wretches and Kings. So in this song, there's a clip from a speech given by Mario Savio that plays a few times. And, it's a very intense speech. And I think it's weaved in pretty well. I kind of wanted to hate this song just because it's got kind of some strange elements to it. It's kind of weird sounding, but I'll be honest, when that bass comes in, I just think it's really cool. Like it's a song that has a lot of energy to it. It's about rebelling against the government and fighting those in power. So it's kind of just a fun jam.
Yeah, this is another like classic Linkin Park sound. This kind of reminds me of their second album a lot. That like kind of grungy guitar and rap, and I think the only thing I didn't like about it was the haze. When they just keep going, hey, hey, in the background.
You don't like that?
It felt like weird for this track. I don't know.
Yeah. I think stuff like that's always a little bit weird to me. I think the point is number one, I think they want to be able to have things for the audience to chant when they do things live.
Yeah.
And I think it also kind of makes you feel like you're a part of something. But yeah, I agree. It is kind of weird. Then we have Wisdom, Justice, and Love. This is probably my favorite interlude track. It leads into Iridescent. It's a sample of a speech given by Martin Luther King Jr. that slowly goes from sounding very human to sounding more and more robotic. And by the end, it's just this like creepy robot voice repeating the title over and over. I love this. I wish there was more stuff like this on other records, because this is the kind of atmosphere that I think builds a great record.
I agree. I liked the kind of descent into the robotic voice was really cool and interesting. I like when people get to take chances on making an entire album or work of art like this. I think this track goes a long way in solidifying the theme for me.
Now we have Iridescent. I think it goes without saying that this song is a banger. I mean, it's very well put together. Has such a great sound and message to it. I love the line, remember all the sadness and frustration and let it go. It just feels so perfect and beautiful. The only thing I don't like about this song is it reminds me of Transformers, because I'm pretty sure it's the song that plays at the end of the first Transformers. And it's like slow motion, Shia LaBeouf driving away in a car, very sad boy.
Oh, man. Transformers, bro. It's done a lot of damage on some Linkin Park songs. I'm sure everybody cannot listen to What I've Done without thinking of it. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
It's ingrained. I also really like this song. I think the just emotional power of it works really well. I have strong memories of this song because this was the first Linkin Park song I ever like went out of my way to like buy and have in my iPod, because it would play during our like music guided warm up in PE class, and I had no idea what Linkin Park was, but I just liked this song.
The next song is Fallout, another interlude. I'm just as I'm saying this now, there are so many interludes on this track.
Probably
album.
too many.
It's insane. It's like every other song. This song is kind of the inverse of Wisdom, Justice, and Love. It takes lines from the song Burning in the Skies and goes from being very robotic to more and more human as the track progresses.
Yeah, that's cool. I like how they connect. At least they're doing something interesting by, weaving all the songs together with the interludes. I think that's cool.
So the second to last song is The Catalyst. This is another perfect song in my opinion. It was a single and it's such a powerhouse of a track. I love the theme of the sins of the collective bringing upon destruction for everyone, even those who are not to blame. I think it really shows how war affects everyone. Like it can be really strange growing up in a world where my country is fighting and bombing and killing other countries and just kind of being taught that that's normal and okay. It's very strange.
Yeah, I'd never heard this one before, so it was actually probably the biggest surprise on the record for me. The song was really good. I was blown away by it. I really I like the melodies. I like the energy it has. And like you said, the themes kind of got like a rebellious attitude for me.
The last song is The Messenger. This is one of my favorite closers that Linkin Park has ever done. It's a stripped down song with just an acoustic guitar and vocals. The album went over some heavy topics, and at the end, I think you can be feeling, kind of like we're just living in this terrible place where we fight each other with bigger and bigger weapons until eventually there's nothing left. But this song kind of sits you down and says like, hey, when you're starting to think this way, just remember that the remedy to all this is love. Like no matter how bad things get, love will always be what sets things right.
Yeah, I love a good acoustic song, and this one absolutely delivers. It's really heartfelt and sincere, and I just think it's a fun time to listen to it.
So what do you think about this album as a whole?
I don't know where I would like stack it with all the other Linkin Park albums, and I'm sure we'll go over the rest of them at some point. But I think it's really solid. I think it's very different, and they went for that concept record style, and I think it mostly worked.
Yeah, it's definitely the most like artistic, I would say. It's very pretentious. Yeah, it's kind of a pretentious album a little bit, but I kind of like pretentious art, and so I really enjoyed it. I think that the themes are all spot on and they connect together very well. Even if there's some tracks that I think could have been dropped, I think that it was done very well. So I like this record a lot. Well, so usually we've been trying to do like either like a little fun game after we review an album or kind of just have a little conversation about something that we think is interesting. I don't know. I think that I kind of just want to end this one here and maybe just like reflect on some of the messages of the album. I think that no matter what you think about like what your position is on war and foreign policies, no one likes war. No one thinks it's a good thing, and we all agree that we'd like it to stop eventually. So I think that there's some good themes to dwell on here.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, we're not always in the mood to listen to, heavy-handed music like this, where it's about such, kind of intense topics. But I think that any, media or entertainment spreading good messages like this and sharing love and peace to the world, I'm always just got positive feelings for.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye.